I had my own company. I didn't like my job. I was like, this is stupid.
That's Stuart Mitchell. 3 years running Hampton North, the premium cybersecurity search firm in the US. $1.6 million in year one, $2.5 million in year two, and he's on for $3 million in year three. There's now 10 staff, and they're looking at $1 million in EBITDA next year. I interviewed him on the show in the middle of 2023 when the business was 3 staff and they were flying. But over the following 18 months, he nearly broke down. Firstly, his dad died. He then led the day-to-day operations of the business, and then his wife fell pregnant with their second child, and the VP he was bringing in to take the pressure off and allow him to step back took the role and then pulled out in January of this year.
This can be a really, really hard conversation with my newly pregnant wife.
So for the first 6 months of 2025, Stuart had to get his head down and grind out the operational role. But he had high expectations, low empathy, and was pretty much the worst version of himself through that process. Then, whilst at a wedding with an old colleague and running mate, Greg Anderson, opportunity struck. Greg said,
I don't think I would have made sense for you for the first 2-3 years because we're very different leaders. It feels like the right time.
He then joined the business in June and immediately told Stuart the truth of what he saw.
There's nothing here. He is driving some of those numbers, but there's been a lot of professionalizing of process. You shouldn't be doing this.
So today, Stuart's bought his time back. He does school drop-off. He travels. He shakes hands with clients and he kisses babies. That was his words, not mine. And he's learned something most founders will never admit.
Doing it for my kids, doing it for my family. And if they don't recognize you and love you, like, what's the point?
So this is the latest installment of Stuart Mitchell's story. Now a $3 million business owner, 10 staff, and proof that profit without peace is just expensive misery. Stu, welcome back to the Rag Podcast.
Thanks for having me on again. It's lots to catch up on.
I know, mate. 2.5 years. Almost. Like literally July 2023, you came on. A lot's happened in that time. That is a long time in the world of the current world in general and world and our lives in general based on what we've been up to. So, mate, it's great to have you back. I always said I always love getting people back on and having an update on this story. 2023 summer, that was before I had my daughter. And that feels like,
right.
I can't even remember life without her now. It's mad.
Yeah, it's wild, right? How quickly, like, I can't imagine life. It's funny. I used to think I was so busy. I used to think I was so busy. And even like 2023, I was still a new dad.
Yeah.
Now, like, Eloise is 3.5, nearly 4 in April. And I had another one in September. So I love it. I love being a dad and we can talk about it. But I love having a business that allows me to be a good dad. And I think our generation's probably a little bit more deliberate around that. Like I see it a lot with my friends and it's awesome. Like I love it. But I can't, like, you going back to life before your daughter, I can't really, I guess, mentally even go back to 2023. It feels like such a long time. It's not, but it feels like a long time ago.
Well, if we paint the picture, right, you came on at the point of, and I'll let you do the introduction to the business in a sec, but you came on and the business had 3 staff. You were just under a year old. So you'd launched the business in September 2022. So we're 9 months in. You'd already hit $1 million in sales. You'd grown. You'd hired a couple of people. You were investing in your personal brand. Obviously, we'd been just started working together. Things were bubbling. You were well known, but I feel like things have happened. A lot's changed since then. So give us the kind of bird's eye view of the business today, and then we'll go back and we'll fill in the gap.
Yeah. So I think perfectly said, and that's exactly where we were at. I think we are kind of where we said we were going to be as well. If we look back on this podcast a couple of years ago, like we are 10 staff now. We are all very high quality. Like if I look across our business, we've added some unbelievable people, and we'll go into this too, but like people that were right at the top of my dartboard of folks that I like could dream of bringing over to Hampton North. But, you know, if we want to go into numbers, we did 1.6 in our first year, 2.5 in our second year, mostly with 5 of us. And we do somewhere in the low 3s in year 3, with 10 of us, but with pretty much doubled in size as of H2 this year.
They're all embedded.
And they're all embedded. Obviously, it takes a little while to get everybody up and running. And folks are kind of what I would say off ramp now. But I kind of ran things backwards in terms of how people start their businesses. And we talked about this in Dubai a little bit last year, which was my number one priority and remains to be my family, right? Like making sure that these guys are in incredible, are well taken care of, so that like we don't have too much to stress about. And what I did with the business, and we don't have investors. I talked about this. Was really to take enough out of the business so that like if things don't play out long term forever, like the way we hope, that certain things are taken care of. My kids' education, my retirement, the mortgage. Like I screwed up. I did just buy a new house, but the first mortgage was taken care of, and so I really wanted to kind of get ahead, get payment free, and take care of the business, and then reinvest. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you save loads of money early on, the payout is great later on. We kind of did it the other way. We could have grown pretty aggressively in 2023 and 2024, but I decided to look at it the other way. Let's take the table stakes stuff off the table, things I've mentioned before, so that my family are always taken care of. And then let's start to grow the business and start thinking in terms of upside, which is kind of what happened this year.
I feel like it's a really modern conversation that I don't remember having one conversation like that in the early days of this podcast, where your life becomes first. Like your life is the first priority. Like I literally posted about it today. Like I had recorded a podcast with Pete Watson, who same thing. Like 80% of his group, he's got 350 founders or 330 founders in Australia. 80% have said they want to make profit before anything else, because it's exactly what you just said. Profit gives you those opportunities to invest and do things. And you can reinvest everything for a lumpy payday, but that's not guaranteed. And the funny thing you said just before off air was in 2023, we did not mention the words AI once in our episode.
Yeah.
So right. To me, that's the biggest disruptor to the end game payday. It could make it 10 times better, but it could also mean that we just don't fucking know. So like,
no.
Anyone who's telling you do this for an exit in 5 years is actually talking out of their backside, because they're just predicting things based on the past, and we're not moving into the past. It's going to change.
Agreed. Yeah, and it's funny because we talked about Mark Cohen, right, who did the opposite, and he came on. He's a non-exec with us, and he's like, "Stu, you said to me, you're like, Stu, are you going that way?" And I was like, absolutely not. And Mark and I talked about
from the start. He knew his exam, but he worked it all back. He was writing board meetings from week one and stuff, like very different to how me and you have done it.
Correct. And I think like Mark and I've talked about this, which is I don't think we're going for the exit. Look, something happens, tremendous, right? But I don't want to defer and put all my risk into an end goal when, to your point, like 2 years has gone since really AI has entered most people's lives. There are jobs that are obsolete already, right? And they're like, I don't know what the future is going to look like. The truth is, it normally ends up like in some extreme worlds, there's no employment. In other extreme worlds, it doesn't work. We're probably going to end up somewhere in the middle. And hopefully we're on the right side of glory at Hampton North. But if not, I think like spreading out your risk both in, and this is very, I think, new generation, which is, okay, I'm going to property and my stock portfolio and, mitigating some risk potentially in other business ventures and avenues, which has become a little bit more interesting to me. Whereas before I was like, why don't you just be really good at recruitment and make all your money there? That is still 95% of my professional life. But I think as you see, like, I don't know what the world is going to look like, and anyone who predicts 5 years from now, like, no idea. And so I think it makes sense to take that, at least a reasonable amount of that profit out of the business, to safeguard my family. And I always, like, even from a business perspective, be the last mover. I don't want to be the first. Like, if something happens, I don't want to ever have to knee jerk. Yeah. I want to be able to make like slow, smart, responsible decisions and I look at businesses, and some of the best businesses hired aggressively during COVID because they were like, okay, we'll never be able to hire good people. Now's the time. So I always want to be last mover. I think that's something that I've probably learned over the last couple of years is like, never knee jerk. Nothing is as aggressive in that moment as it sounds or feels. Like, just take your time.
Last mover in some ways, but I think you were one of the first movers.
Yeah.
If you look at the brand you've built,
sure.
We go back to 2023 and we were talking about that then.
Yeah.
And that's amplified to another level, I'd say now.
Yeah.
that is still a conversation. My business still helps people out from the ground zero now of going, mate, you're literally sat with 20,000 followers and you don't even do anything.
Yeah.
And that's happening. So it is, I guess the same principle can be applied both ways. Let's just go back to 2022 ending, because 2023 was a difficult year globally for the industry, right? There's no denying that the boom of 21, 22 came down in 23. How did that play out for you? I know you're in a pretty robust market. You've obviously got an incredible brand that people, I think you're very well known and you get a lot of work from it. But what did it look like?
Look, it's bloody hard, right? I think we hit good numbers. I think there was a culmination of some favors, and this is where like having friends in the industry does make a difference. Of like, hey, I could probably find this myself, but like, want to do you a solid. Like that certainly helped. And I think being able to pivot what you know into different industries, right? Like our biggest client in 2023 was a restaurant chain. Normally, you know me as like Stu works with these big cool tech clients and whatever. Our biggest client was a restaurant chain, and it was just the ability to lift and shift and say, okay, I still know all these incredible people. They're not getting hired by Facebook or Netflix or Amazon, but like I can get you that quality of people that would never have looked at you in the past. So I think we just needed a portable candidate base.
In fact,
a message to clients.
Yeah, he did the interview in 23, so it was actually
yeah.
You were like 3 months into being a business owner when that started. So you did that.
Yes. Yeah.
In my head, you had 23. Like you had the whole of 22. You didn't. You had the end of 22.
No. Yeah.
I think
we saw it coming.
The numbers you did were in one of the most difficult times you could have done it in the last 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I look at even Ross, who works for me, 700K in 2024, as like better than most people's million years in 21, 22, like even the 22, and like that 700K, because he never did the million, and it's something that's always on his back. I'm like, mate, 700 in 2024 is better than most people's million in 2021. Yeah. Like for sure, he kicked ass. He was incredible last year. And I think like it was such a good time to be lean. Like I looked at the businesses that were going through those challenges, and was it easy? No. But when it only costs 30, 40 grand to turn the light on because you got a couple of LinkedIn licenses, 4 or 5 staff, like the January 1st and like the 1st of every month is far less scary than if you've got 200 staff. And we're seeing it now. Like I think the water's a lot warmer now, and businesses are super reticent to ever hire at the scale that they did during the boom, because they don't want to take on these huge costs, big licenses, etc. Because the scar tissue is still there. So it was a great time to be lean, Sean. Even like if I look at our team, like most people have a history of billing $1 million. So like, did we hit the numbers that like we all wanted to hit? No, but like 1.6 across 3 of us, we're still like, like we're all better than this.
Still mega.
But yeah, it's unbelievably profitable as well, right? Because there's just very little overhead. So it put us in a really good position to set up 24, which was solid, and this year, which is, we had a slower start, but the second half of this year has been a lot better.
So 24, what went on? Because there was 2 things that I remember.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you joined the boardroom, one of the first members to go with me on that project. And one of the biggest things you kept saying to me was, I need someone like a VP next. I need someone to take a bit of the people bit away. Because you were open about the fact that you were very, very good and enjoyed the client side, the front end of the business, the management of people and the day-to-day operational bit. It was a disconnect for you. It wasn't necessarily where you spent your time. And I believe that it's wise to work out, if I could do more of what I'm good at and I enjoy, the business will grow.
Yeah.
But you kept saying it, and I think you had a few that were almost in and then they didn't happen. Talk me through that project.
Yeah. So I think let's go back in terms of, you said what happened in 2024. I lost my dad, and it really, that's where I first found that there's a lot more to life, which was a really useful lesson for me. It's not the lesson I wanted. By any means, my dad was young and like I was gutted. But for about 2 months after, I was shit at my job. And like, you can say rightly so and whatever. Like if I look back, honestly, I would have taken a step away. I think I had the team that would have come through. Worst, I actually stunk the room out for like 6 weeks. I was irritable. I was high expectations, low empathy. It was the very worst version of myself. And I look back, learning moment. Luckily, the team like have a good emotional connection to the team. Everyone was there for me, and it was great. But I think that showed me a hole, right? In terms of like, so this is, I guess, probably 18 months ago now. It like really showed me like, wow, like a lot of pressure on me. Life can happen. And you know, we built the nest egg to be like, okay, let's go and get someone who is better at the people management, can bring in the operational piece, and just create a little bit more sense to the business. So you're right. I actually had a guy when we were in Dubai in November of last year. I had a guy and he accepted, and we were very, very excited about him. He decided to withdraw in January of this year, which was gutting. Really good guy. Oops, sorry, on.
Just to add to that, though, because you were saying the guy's coming in, and then I've got paternity leave.
Yeah.
So there was almost you were thinking this employment on you being able to take some time out for that.
Well, what's worse is we didn't even try for a kid until we knew he had him. So like, it was that was kind of the deal with my wife. Was like, okay, like we saw what happened with your dad. If we're gonna go and have another kid, I need to know that like you're not going to be stressed and in the business, and like you can have someone who can keep the train on the track, because it's not just like the paternity time. You're also not great a couple of months after. Like I still really am like, I think I'll be back to full stew probably in the new year.
Yeah.
And this is September. Like I'm 85%, 90% of myself, like my best self right now. And I think that's still probably being generous. So that was the deal with Bridget. Yeah. And then January, it was when he called me, and actually fair play, the guy got lunch with me and was like, okay, here's my situation. Totally understandable. And I was like, this can be a really, really hard conversation with my newly pregnant wife. So that was like, it was almost like when I went home.
Going into everything, what did he say? What was his reason?
His wife's mum had some pretty challenging health.
Right.
So if he'd have started, he's like, I'm not going to be all in. He had to spend some time in jail. He's like, I can't half-ass this job. And like everything's worked out the way it's supposed to. Still like the guy. And then look, as luck would have it, Greg Anderson, who is my old running mate from starting May several years ago, we're at a wedding together, and it's like, all right, well, this is where I am. It's like, all right, well, this is where I am. And it was just the ideal situation where it's like, I think we should do this again. And, you know, it's funny, like Greg and I talked about this, and he's like, I don't think I would have made sense for you for the first 2-3 years because we're very different leaders. But he's like, it feels like the right time if we're going to do this. Now there's a role for me. I want to do the people management. I want to do the culture, operations, etc. And so like he joined in June, and I think like that first 6 months where, and like I spent some time with Ruby and Ross. As soon as we found out that Andrew wasn't going to join us, we flew out to Florida, and we're like, okay, I was like, guys, I'm going to need you to pull around and be because they are the OGs and they've been with the business for as long as, and so they really rallied together. And I am super grateful. Like we weren't able to grow without their performance this year. So we brought Greg in June. Greg, it's funny, Greg, you know, I went out there in July, you know, I did an assessment of the business, and he's like, I don't know whether to be shocked or impressed. He's like, obviously you guys are doing an incredible job, right? Making loads of money, placements are great, reputation is great. He's like, there is nothing here. He's like, if you look under the like the covers, he's like, there's no process, there's nothing like, and he's like, it doesn't surprise me because I know who you are.
Basically,
I know that you're flying away to win.
You're all
just dreamed out. Just good. We're just good. Like, and he's like, but he's like, you're making it impossible for anyone who joins this business to actually do well. He's like, there's no clues, and he's like, you're just going to be slugging forever.
What was the team size and structure like? Well, lack of, but what was the straw diagram structure when he joined?
So it's been pretty crazy. But Greg joined in June, and that was joining me at the top, then Ruby head of delivery with Vas, who reports to her, and then just Ross and Amy. So it was 5, Greg was 6. Immediately, we hired head of go-to-market, Mike Campagna, like he was already in process as we were talking to Greg, and I was like, this is the guy. We immediately hired somebody close to Greg in LA. So Mike joined in June, also Jake joined in July. So that would be 8, all running up through Greg. And then August, September came around, and I had an opportunity, and it's a guy I talked about on the previous podcast, who is, in my mind, the best recruiter that I've ever seen in the flesh. I know there's some incredible people out there, but there's a guy I worked with 7 years ago who was the reason, honestly, that I got good, was kind of as like, I sat opposite this guy and I was like, I was always like a decent biller. And I sat opposite this guy and I was like, you're not $1 million better than me. And that was really just the limiting belief remover of this guy who I worked for. And I honestly only sat opposite him for 4 or 5 months. I went off, but we kind of stayed in contact with a mutual respect. And so Lee joined the business October 2nd, and has honestly been incredible. Like, he's everything I remember and more. And so we have this wonderful team. We also just had a new signer join this weekend who starts on January 5th. So we'll be 10 as of, I guess, Jan 1, with a couple of other people that, will bring hopefully similar ripples and tidal waves to a Greg, to a Mike, to a Lee, to the business.
So what are they all responsible for then? So you've obviously got Ruby is delivery, not necessarily. So what's Greg's role, and what do Lee and Ross and the others do?
So interesting. So Mike runs the go-to-market practice. Ross and Lee is within cyber. That's right. So Ross and Lee are, to all intents and purposes, hired guns, right? Like, they don't, and they're probably underplaying the role that they play culturally. Like, they're not, I think you just assume these like sharks in the corner. They're very bought into the process. And like, when we get together in January, Lee, who is, again, just incredible, is going to do a 2-hour workshop on best practice, which is like, again, as we make the business easier to work in for new people. So that there's a lot of, I would say, senior ICs. If I look at leaders within the business, we've got Greg, who runs, basically when I say to Greg, hey, what are we going to build? Greg has the answer. He runs the budget. He runs the operations. He runs the day-to-day people and performance management. Ruby, who runs delivery into our key accounts. And so and then Mike, who is a leader. These are the managers that report up into Greg, and then people kind of spill down into that. And then I've freed myself up, right? Like, I've bought back my time, which is getting back to stuff like this. You saw I started a podcast, which is a time commitment, as you know, getting to more conferences, and just allowing me to sell again, which is, it's reinvigorated me from the role this first 6 months of this year, which I knew that there was an end to it. And I could see the end, but it was a real challenge. It was a real grind. And Greg has, by taking a lot of this stuff off my plate, has allowed me to enjoy my job again. Which is, it was dumb, right? I had my own company. I didn't like my job. I was like, this is stupid. But it was a lot of stuff that I don't like doing. So now I get to shake hands, kiss babies, do podcasts, travel. And I really feel that that's how my cup is full. And look, is it expensive to bring somebody in? Yes, but my currency is if I can go out and if I can bring great clients to this business and great people who want to work here, like, everything's gonna be all right. But also, I have kids that are young that I will have a very finite period of time with, and it's like, if I want to go be the mystery reader at my kids' school in the middle of the day and do drop off and do pickup and be around for them, like that this period is so short. Right. And in 7 years, like, she's gonna give a shit, right? Like, so for me, it's like, okay, could I be doing a bit more? Probably. But I want to spend a bit more time with my kids for this finite period that it is, and with my wife. And so there is that, like, am I working 80, 90-hour weeks? Probably not. Like, what? Like, why would I, right? Because in 10 years, like, what's a bit more money going to do, right? Like, it's just like, my kids don't like me and my wife doesn't want to talk to me. So I think they could,
you tagged me in the US recruiter who he was talking about like success comes as a result of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everyone was just going in on it like, yeah, man, like you've got to give it, we've all done it kind of thing. And you were like, well, maybe not. Like, I don't think I quite agree with this. And I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
Like, I think pre-pandemic, that was the version of success that everyone thought was the way. Now, I'm the same. Like today, my daughter's, I told you, I've been bloody nursing a daughter in bed over lunch. And I was supposed to be doing stuff that I just wiped off the calendar. And it's like, but I've built a business where none of it hangs off me. Like I bring business in, I help deliver, I help everything, but I don't actually do one thing all day. There's a model around me, which is what you've built. 10 people, same thing.
Yeah, and it is like I do look back on that post, and I think it's really easy to say I'm doing it for my kids, I'm doing it for my family and stuff like that. And what does it matter if they don't know who you are? Like, it's Breaking Bad is like the clearest example of that, the TV show, right? But it's like, if they don't recognize you and love you, like, what's the point? And I think it is a really easy crutch. And I look at the generation before us of recruitment leaders, some of whom, maybe did big exits or big deals, but like it cost them everything. I don't need the money that bad. I reflect, and I think I'm getting a bit older and hopefully a little bit wiser. I never thought I'd make 50 grand. No. Like, and I have to look back at that. Most of my mates in the UK don't. Like, most of the lads are still doing the same shit. Yeah. Like, it's Christmas, like, going to the same pub and whatever. And there's beauty to that, right? I love that, and it's still very focused. But like, I already kicked expectations out the window. Like, what is another 50 grand a year, 100 grand a year, or whatever it may be in an exponential level versus like the price of, and this feeling, but like you pick your kid up from school, that daddy is like way better than any deal I've ever closed. Like, and I get it every day. It's the best dopamine hit. It doesn't matter how shit my day's been. Like, I can't have a bad day. Like, it's impossible.
Mate, last Tuesday, my daughter goes nursing on a Monday and swimming on a Tuesday, and me and my wife take it in turns to go in the water with her. And last Tuesday, I'll be honest, like, I could have done without it. Like, in terms of work-wise, there was so much going on, and my diary was fucking rammed, and I'm like, oh. And I said to my wife, I was about to say, like, do you mind doing it today? I went, no, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And honestly, it was the best 45 minutes. It sorted me out. Like, I left in a completely different mood. And I was like, you know what? There's no fucking thing I could have done in that 45 minutes that was more important.
Swimming is the best as well, because you can't have your phone. Like, I did it a bunch in the summer, and I actually think it's like the best dad of me is when I'm in the swimming pool, because I can't have my phone. And it's so real. I'm so like connected, and she'll just float around and we just chat. Like, she's old enough now, we just chat. Yeah. It's not deep, but it's like you can't have your phone, and it's the best.
Yeah, it's 100% that. And here's a question for you then, because I think I still struggle with this, is when we've probably both got quite similar jobs where we've created a role where we're very forward facing, we influence on brand, we bring a lot of work in, it gets divvied out. I do a slightly different role, obviously, or business model with you, but equal, it's a similar business. What still affects me is when things dip. So when the business we have a month where it doesn't quite hit expectation. We've not had any months this year where they've been awful. Yeah. We've had a really strong year, but there's been a couple of months where they've dipped a bit in expectation from where I thought we'd be. And it still affects me. And the fact that I'm not as directly involved as I was, in a way, I feel even more guilty in that moment. Like, I'm like, I've not done enough. I've not brought enough customers. I've not brought enough leads in. Like, and then I'm like, should I change what I'm doing? And I question myself, and I'm working on that, because I know it's a thing that I need to just build better systems and believe in the long-term process around it. But there's no doubt that mentally it plays on me.
Yeah, I don't think I'm any better yet. I think this December is probably going to be a good. I don't think we're going to have an incredible December. And candidly, in our industry, it's based on a lag indicator, right? We weren't as effective in November. Yeah. So I think, as long as we're not making those, a month is such a short period of data, but I am like, holy shit, like, I need to dive in and fix things and squeeze a deal and get a new retainer signed or whatever. No one learns anything. Like, you do have to go through a little bit of pain, but like last week, Greg called me and he's like, take Friday off. Like, I was out in Chicago visiting a potential hire for us that we really want to get. And he's like, just don't come back for the day. Like, don't jump online, let the team do their thing. We know that you're pushing, and it doesn't help. It's the end of the year. Everyone's a bit tired. And, but I am sometimes like, all right, I'm going to overpush. There's more here. I don't think it helps anyone. I really don't. And so I'm learning that, but it is, I think because we're people who can fix stuff, right? Generally, that's probably my biggest skill set is I can fix stuff. Like that's what I'm good at. Like what's going on with this client? What's going on with this situation? Like what's going on with this search? Let me come in and do this. Like, of course it helps sometimes if it's a fix. Yeah, exactly that. But like long term, no one learns anything. You don't really see what everyone's made of. But it's about finding that balance of like, all right, well, this revenue is very important to us. This client's very important to us.
Yeah.
And it is, I don't know that there's a magic pill because you don't want it to fail. And so, look, I don't know that I have the answer yet either, but I suffer from the same challenging situation in that my business is small enough that I can see everything. And yet it's big enough that like, I'm talented enough. Here's the thing, right? There is not someone I look at and I'm like, you're not doing your job. You can't figure this shit out, right? I'm not looking at a bunch of folks and it's like, all right, well, maybe 5 of these will make it and 5 won't. Everyone within their own right is incredibly talented. And so I do need to allow for that failure, but I haven't quite found the, hey, we can just lose this client, or hey, maybe we'll let this one go. Like, I still want it. And I still do get like, probably a bit like you. We actually have a lot, like the more we talk, the more I realize me and you have a ton of similarities, which is just that like, all right, twitchiness, like, okay, we fixed it. Like, oh, I would have said this, like, try doing this. And it's like, even the delivery of it, sometimes I'm like, I know I sound like a dick here.
Yeah.
And like, I actually had to call Ruby last week after like talking to her. And I was like, yeah, I was a bit short there. Like, it's not, I don't mean that. Like, I trust you, like make the right decision. But I had to call because I was like a little bit shorter and sharper because
I do, and I know that's more.
Yeah.
I know you'll probably be similar. We'll get to a conclusion really quick. Like we'll probably see the problem fast, and then we don't need the explanation to. I already know where you're going, so I'm like, no, let's just talk about what's actually. And the person needs to get it out of what they're trying to say. So I'll like shut them off and be like, I get it. Let's move on. And they're like, well, I've not explained it. I'm like, well, I don't need you to explain. That's not benefiting them.
Correct.
And sometimes I'm fucking wrong. I jump to the wrong conclusion. So, but more often than not, I'm not. But yeah, I completely see it. Now, but you look, I think we are in similar situations. Young families, businesses built around us, inbound led, a lot of inbound. So let's talk about that. Since we've worked with you 2 years ago, one of the things when you were on that podcast, like I said, there was only so much we could impact you because you already had your own style. But what I said to you, which I think you'll remember, was that you could be the biggest problem, that because you're so good and so natural with it that you can't teach to be Stu. And it's like me, no one in my business could be. It's don't do Sean, don't do that. But people need process, especially employees. They need a process to follow. Yeah. And sometimes they can look at someone like you or me and go, oh, I'm never going to be like that. I'm not the founder, so I don't bother. But like the likes of Ruby, for example, if you look at her LinkedIn now, like it's really cool. Like she's built up like 25,000 followers in a delivery role, but yet she's getting so much engagement on her content. Like she's turning it into candidates, she's turning it into work, as according to what you said. So like, I'm interrupting today's episode to talk about our sponsor, Atlas Recruitment CRM. Admin is a massive waste of time for recruiters. And that's why Atlas, the world's first AI-first recruitment platform, is built for modern agencies who don't want to do it. It doesn't only track CVs and calls. It remembers everything. Every email, every interview, every conversation. Instantly searchable, always available, and now it's entering a whole new era. With Atlas 2.0, you can ask anything and it'll deliver. With magic search functionality, you speak to it and it listens. It finds the right candidates using real conversations, not simply look up for keywords. For me, this would be massive because I spend most of my time talking to my CRMs, talking to my emails. I'm just better with voice. Probably why I got into recruitment in the first place. Now, Atlas 2.0 also makes BD easier than ever because they've got an opportunity section where you can track, manage, and grow client relationships powered by generative AI and built right into your workflow. If you need insights and reports, they've got custom dashboards that give you total visibility over your pipeline. And that's not theory. Atlas customers have reported up to 41% EBITDA growth and an 85% increase in monthly billings after adopting the platform. So there's no admin, there's no silos, there's no lost info, nothing but faster shortlists, better hires, and more time to focus on what actually drives revenue. Atlas is your personal AI partner for modern recruiting. Now, don't miss the future of recruitment. Get started with Atlas today and unlock your exclusive RAG listener offer at www.recruitwithatlas.com/the RAG. All right, let's get back to the show. What impact has it had to not be all the burden of the brand on you?
Yeah, I think if I could compliment Hoxo, and it seems appropriate given the show we're on, I didn't really know how, I still don't really know how I do it. Like, I know it sounds weird to say, but I'm not a process guy. It just, for me, stuff comes into my head and I put it on paper. And for me, it's very automatic. And, you know, people have tried to have me teach similar, like, Hoxo-esque sessions to at Start of May, where I was before. And even when I started here, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm really doing or talking about. And I think Ruby is a shining example of exactly what, like, Ruby is if you give her a process, she will follow it. And she's done an incredible job and found her own voice. And I think it's been an evolution for her where it was like, you know, she went through the initial, like, okay, I'm going to do the thing to get the most likes, which is great, but also not, because you can become a little negative, a little like dopamine chasey, etc., but with no outcome. And I think what she's done is she has evolved her voice to stay natural to her, but to have a purpose. And she is like case in point. Like now she, you know, if I look at who she was 2.5 years ago, her growth as a whole, like she may have been, like I say this publicly, but like she may be the best hire I've ever made. And I've hired a lot of people. She is truly incredible at what she does, but learns, grows, develops. The maturity is off the charts. But now she is utilizing LinkedIn to, you know, gain a following which is so loyal to her, and that obviously, but that also brings the brand of Hampton North, because her and I like look at the world very differently and have different angles. She's a lot less fun, and she like rips me publicly, which I think is great, and like we have that rapport. But she is now she's in a delivery role, right? She's winning clients off the back of this. She used to just sit behind her desk all day. Now she's going to conferences. She has speaking engagements booked out next year. She does, you know, video kind of learnings, etc., live resume reviews, things like that. And I look at like how far she's come. And I think like it started with the brand and the confidence that people actually liked what she had to say. Because she is, to my point earlier, like very, very incredible, as like good, unique views on the marketplace and like a rich band of experience. But she's gone from like a really decent delivery consultant to like a key, like arguably from a brand perspective, she would be the second person that you'd affiliate the brand with. Yeah. But then I look at like how we're trying to replicate this across the business. Even Ross, as an example, like was very, I'd say like old school New Jersey Italian, like barely even used it. Like he has a voice, he has a following, he's taken business off it. You know, looking at people like Greg, who similar train of thought to me, has, you know, a bit more kind of personality. It's very natural. Amy across the business, like it's kind of table stakes for what we do as a company. And I think like as a brand, like Hampton North is now known. I think in half circles, it's known as Stu. But that's way better than we were 2.5 years ago, where it was like Hampton North equals Stuart Mitchell. Now they are not mutually conducive. And that's the most important thing for me, is like Hampton North needs to be Hampton North. And sure, they can know I'm attached to it, but it can mean so many different things. And like the brand being in different places is like the best. And it's like, it's very flattering.
It's funny. It's like Ammo, my business partner, right? So like, for probably the first 6 years of Hoxo, 7 years. Oh yeah, we're 9 years old in 7 years. He was just completely behind the scenes. Like he
correct.
And people didn't know who he was. They thought it was just my business. And then he, I don't know why it took us like 5 years to realize he should be a sales guy, because he's a fucking recruiter. But he just he did all the operational shit that like Greg's doing and that. and he didn't even enjoy half of it, but he did it because I was never going to do it. And then when we were like, mate, me and you are going to sell because we can just dominate. And then a couple of years ago, I was like, mate, you need to get on LinkedIn. Like, we've got, you're letting us down. Like, because everyone's like, it's just me. Whereas you've got so much to say. You've got a different way of saying it. And this year, we'll do about 800K off of his LinkedIn account. And we're like, and he's not me. He does it in his own way. He follows the same process that our clients do. But I'm as better at just going, right, well, I'll just do these things in this order. And he doesn't have to overthink it. But the business now, like I say, it's not completely dependent on me. And I don't want it to. I think people go one way or the other. They either go so leveraged on one founder, or they don't want anyone. They don't want it to be they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be heard. They want to be behind the scenes. And I'm like, then you're just leaving money on the table. Like, if you're fucking dormant. Question: What impact has hiring had? Or what impact has your brand and what you've built had on those attraction of those people? Because that's another massive benefit. Yeah. Client and candidate stuff's great, but you've been handpicking top performers. I guess what impact did it have?
Yeah, I would tell you, like, again, I talk about when we talked in the first podcast, the launch and it was everything. I still think the same with the hiring, right? Like, you can't ignore us, right? You can't ignore us, and that is so like it plays on people, right? And I think we created this like, look, could the business be doing better? I think so, but like you create this momentum and view of like everyone, and I think particularly in trickier times, is like, wow, Stu and Ruby and Ross and the guys are still crushing it, right? Like, what's going on over there? What are they doing differently? And I think, I talk about even the like perception is reality, right? And so I think, the reality of, us talking about opportunities and talking about what we're seeing in the market, like you create this ecosystem and environment that is like very success focused. And I have fun with LinkedIn. But I do talk about the metrics and success. And it's funny, I see a lot of people that talk in percentages. I talk in raw numbers because everyone could be 212% over target if they have a shit target.
Yeah.
I always talk about like the numbers that the team are doing. And I'm very, very honest about this, like, and it has really, really helped folks who are like, yeah, like they are doing it. They are delivering it.
October last year, you posted like $512,000 from
over 5 people,
16 places. I remember I remember it so well, and I was like, wow. So, like you say, when you then go and speak to someone about joining Hampton North, they've got data points to refer to of the past.
Yes,
that they just don't. Most companies don't offer out.
Yeah, and there is some folks still see it as a bit taboo, right? Like and I really don't, right? Like I think there is I'm super proud of the numbers that we do. Public companies flaunt their stock price, right? Like businesses talk all the time about closing $1 million plus deals in the SaaS world. So I don't really get why it should be taboo. And I think like the modern day founders, are again embracing, like I look at some of the founders that I know and respect and think very highly of, all kind of similar to us, right? Like similar age, and they're building great things. But they are publicly saying, hey, we did this, we achieved this. And, if you're wise enough, you can figure out whether that's profitable for the business or not. But, I think in most cases doing $500-600K in a month with 5 people typically is pretty good for the bottom line. And again, like people want to be part of something successful. And I think, look, that's, why we will probably keep growing a bit. I don't think we're going to go on a massive scale journey. I think like we'll still be like objectively lean. Like I don't think I don't see a world. I don't see it where we're more than 20-25 people, at least with me at the helm, right? I got to be honest about that. I just don't know how I would cope dealing with 30, 50, 100 people. I don't think I'm that guy. I think I'm a good certain size leader. Yeah, I just don't see it. Yeah, I don't see it for me. And so like we'll see. Like I'm not setting us on a certain path, but I think like the growth comes from we're doing incredible work, and I think there's client demand currently. But also like I think I look at the team. It's nice to have people that come in and continue to raise standards, right? And it might be that we have like a cutoff of like, we'll never be bigger than X and there's a relegation zone or something like that. I know it sounds a little Hunger Gamesy, but the reality is if we've got a certain amount of people, law firms do it where they're like, okay, we have 300, we have X amount of partners, we have this, we can't grow bigger than this. Yeah. And if you're not raising the standards, I see that being as like a good modern day type of business versus like, hey, we need to get to 150 heads, and then you lose control of a lot of quality, in my opinion.
You give off a premium vibe, like a premium. That's what I get. I always think, well, high margin, big deals, premium service. Like that's the feeling you get, whether it's true, like you say, whether everyone's
is reality.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you've made a really good point there around like taboo numbers. I always jump on a call with people. Like, the first question I ask is like, what are you going to build this year? Or what did you build last year? And they're like, some people are literally like, why do you want to know that? I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the reason I want to know is to see if you're any good at your job. Fundamentally, right? Because if you're no good at recruitment, adding a LinkedIn brand on top ain't going to fucking make you a better recruiter. You've got to deliver. And if you can deliver £500,000 without this process, we're going to get you to $1 million. Like that's the mindset I have.
Yeah, if you can't do it.
If you're not prepared to tell me your numbers and then you're edgy with your numbers, my gut says you're probably making them up. And you're not, you know, I can't change that. I want to work with brands that are doing well and they're traditionally trained and they don't really know how to go the next step. And that, it's funny. People get so tetchy about it. Some people do. But again, the proof's in the pudding. You've launched a business, £1 million in less than a year. You've then doubled that. You're tripling that now in your third year.
Yeah.
You've hired 10 people that want to work for you. You've attracted clients, you've attracted candidates, you've attracted employees, and you've removed yourself pretty much from the operational day-to-day in 3 years.
Yeah.
Or less than 3 years. It's like, sorry, just over 3 years. That's, I mean, it's fucking good going, mate. And I don't think you could do that without the brand.
Yeah, and it is interesting, right? And can I say, like, on the flip side, one of the challenges I face is like, is Stu full of shit, right? Like this is one of the interesting, like, is this real, right? And I actually, objectively, I understand that. I flew out last week to interview someone because I wanted them to get to know me because, again, I have this like perception of success. I'm a bit grizzly, but I'm quite disarming when you spend a bit of time with me. But I'm actually a teddy bear. Like it is, but you play the game a little bit, and that's fine. But I said to him, I was like, look, you are within every reason you should question it because it seems too good to be true. And I generally say that, right? Like this business, I think, seems too good to be true, which is when people normally get their ears up. But you know, I spent some time with him. He's spending some time with the team, and he's like, fuck, like this is real, right? This can happen. I think sometimes you get so lost in your own environment. Like I see businesses that are doing incredible stuff, and the old version of me are like bullshit. And now I'm like, you know what? Like people can do 4 million a year. People can do X. And I think like there is that, like it sometimes does seem a little bit, and I don't think I have to over validate it, but like this is real, and I'm very, very proud of what we've done. But I do get the opposite. Like some people are like, is that guy just full of shit, a talking head versus like actually doing the business? And if I always say, look, the money hasn't come from nowhere. And if I wasn't any good, like where does the money come from? Right? How do we get these people? And I think that's you can't hire great people without spending money either.
So. But if you raised $5 million on day one to launch Hampton North, this premium brand, and it was all over the magazines, people would be like, fucking legend. Like they'd love to.
So funny, right?
But you don't bill that kind of money off your own back, and you promote the fact that you've done it, and you're seen as an egomaniac, or or you doubted whether it's true. And it's like, fucking hell, something's not right. So Mark Cohen is an interesting one because he came. I think it was me. Was it me that did I put you in touch, or did you already?
I'm sure that's it. I think you'd looped us into something.
I looped you into an email because it was like, I'm looking for one or two. I only want 1 or 2 extra pounds. I'll be honest, I was like, I'll question whether you were the right fit because I was like, I think he's all about scale and exit, and I'm not sure you are. But so, what have you done together? Because he's incredible at what he does. What have you done?
So it is interesting, right? Because we almost just had a conversation. He was obviously talking about some of the stuff you guys were doing as well. So it was more just let's have a chat. And I was like, and I said to him, I was like, it's interesting. I've struggled for advisors, mostly I'm not the best student. Like I'm highly opinionated, quite highly charged. And, ultimately, like, I don't know. I hadn't found someone that I was like very in love with what they've done with their business, which is maybe what I was looking for. But I also felt like this was, if I look at some of the accountability that I have, like, it's weird when you're your own boss, right? Like, oh, I've made loads of money, I'm really good. And it's like, yeah, but what? And I think like Mark is also something that's very important to me is he's like loves his kids, right? He's always been around for his kids. And so like some of that was important. But if I look at some of the things we've built together, we've professionalized a lot of stuff. We did a CRM migration that he helped lead the charge on. He's been instrumental with, like, he was huge in the hiring of Lee, right? Like we spent a lot of time thinking about how we're going to put that together. I think some of the like professionalizing of our pitch process, etc. So he's like, he made everyone line up and do a pitch of Hampton North, and no one couldn't really articulate what the fuck we do. And so I think that's important. We still do a board meeting, which again, we talk about it, but it is far less like driven in incredible metrics. It's more like, okay, where are we at? What's the team happiness? What are the lagging indicators? Like, and some of that means that we can predict future performance. And he's like, look, what if someone offers you 20 million tomorrow? Like, they're like, what have they got to look at? Because he's like, you're not going to go on this massive exit journey, and I doubt someone's going to try, but like, there's nothing here. And so he is driving some of those numbers. He kicks the crap out of Greg to make sure that they hit. But there's been a lot of kind of professionalizing of process, and even just like he spent one-on-one with the team, like the next level, like Ruby as an example, working with me to try and figure out what her growth journey looks like, because she's been great on the way up. She's young. She's like, I want more. And it's like, great. Like, what does that look like? And I think Mark has been really instrumental in shaping a role where I'm like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably a little bit more integrated than a traditional Ned would be. And then also just like, when we talk about the profit of the business, he's like, this is where we're driving towards. He's like, everything is about, like, it's not about the numbers up there. There's one number, which is the profit of the business, which is kind of against where he was before, where it was probably really about like efficiency, revenue per head, etc. He's like, this is the one number I give a shit about.
What you care about, or what he thinks. Not necessarily what he...
We're basically, we've married everything that goes into the business is the thing that I care about, which is to have a highly profitable, and look, some of the reputation is important to me as well. Like, I'm not hiding behind that, but the most important thing is to run a like profitable business that can exist without, and some of it is like probably piling stuff on Greg's plate. He's like, Shoo, you shouldn't be doing this. Like, why are you doing this? Go and shake hands and kiss babies.
Yeah. And it is, so you mentioned, is it the $1 million profit next year is the goal?
Yeah. Yes. And I feel we came very close in 24, which was a tough year for us. We probably would have just about hit, but we went pretty hard on reinvestment this year. We'll add a couple next year of heads, but I'd be shocked if we didn't very much clear. Like right now, the budget will be at 1.3. We've exceeded budget every year, so I think that's the plan.
It's really exciting, mate. It's really exciting, and I'm really glad. I mean, I'd had no doubts, but I'm really glad you've kept your head in the game, because, like I say, you've been through a lot in the last year. Lost your dad, had another kid. Had to make some really key strategic hires. It's been challenging. We talked about the fact that AI wasn't on the agenda last time. So what's your approach, or how do you, because Mark's very future focused, he's very AI.
Yes.
What's your thoughts around how it's going to affect 2026 for Hampton North and perhaps the wider industry?
So we've made a couple of pivots because of AI, and it would be remiss to say that we haven't. I think as we look at the future of our market, I think there's going to be a lot of growth and development around products to secure us. And I think so. We've got into the go-to-market world, which we weren't traditionally in. We're very enterprise focused. We've got in the go-to-market world of because so many people, there's so much money being invested in building security products, because that's really like what people are terrified of, at least in my world, is like, what the heck happens if this goes wrong or we lose control of it?
Yeah.
Both like if you look at some of the now like agents, it's like, what's securing them from taking your Apple Pay and going to buy stuff, to as far as like, okay, what if it manipulates your entire code base and shuts the entire company down, like, and everything in between. Where there's so much money in that, like, so that's good for us, right? And I still don't think we're still not at the point where we can hire agents to do that work or to sell it, right? So that's why the go-to-market is important for us and the engineering side behind it. I think on the enterprise security side, legislation is going to cut, right? I think the US, something's going to happen. In my opinion, something bad will happen. And like we look at like the biggest cyber attack ever is Experian, the credit agency. Everyone got hacked. Social security is everything. I think we'll get the same thing with AI, and regulation will drive a lot of policy change. Going to be unbelievable for us. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it'll be really good. So we're looking at a lot in that, like AI governance, AI regulation. So there's always opportunity, right? Like, and it, on the flip side, there are a lot of lower to middle people in the cybersecurity space that I don't think will ever work again. A lot of the boring process driven, like low level engineering, compliance, configuration, probably dead. That's not really our market, right? So whereas a lot of these people are struggling to find work, and it's sad. It's not our world. It's not what we're playing in. So I think like we need to double down at being like super, where is the money? Where is the opportunity focused, as we always have been? And from an AI perspective, look, there is going to be a lot of challenges that security are going to have to clean up, because we're going to like, it's funny. We're in a world where we're deploying technology like the least tech native people are going, hey, I've built an app, and it's like, and I've put it out, and it's like, whoa, like this is going to cause a problem. And it's fucking awesome, by the way. I love the innovation. I love the excitement around it. I love what it's doing to San Francisco, which is a huge bubble for us. Like people are going back, people are spending money, VCs are loading. So like from an industry perspective, it has had a huge positive impetus. I think we'll see a leveling. I do think we'll see a little like, with people using the term bubble, I think it will flatten. I think it will flatten and just kind of regulate. Like the cat's out the bag. It is not. We're not going to look in 5 years and go, remember AI? Like, yeah. I think we're a bit past that, and I think it's not going anywhere. I think we'll find what it's great at and what its shortcomings are over the next few years. But we'll stay very, like in our industry, we'll stay very much at the front, and then on the back end, we'll keep looking at technologies. We'll keep looking at options that make us better. For us, like we use, from a research perspective, we use a lot of Perplexity to, build customer profiling. We tried Clay. It's fucking hard. Like you spend a lot of time and money on it.
Yeah.
But there is some of that. But again, I think like I sound like a broken record here. If I can use AI to allow me to like, and it's funny, you were on a podcast with a bunch of other recruitment founders, which was like, I think it was hosted by Ezra. It was really good, right? And something you talked about is like, we've created a world of like super agents where it's like, maybe only 3% of people are still in the game in 10 years, and 97 aren't. And these guys are all going to get loaded. I probably don't have to worry about the 97%, right? I'm probably going to be, at least the way I look at it, if I can continue on the arc that I am, it's hard because I don't think it's my problem, right? I think I'm going to be fine either way, whether it plays out or not. But for us, it's very much just focusing on like talking to our clients of like, cool, what are you fucking terrified of? Because we deal in the terror side, not the excitement side. What are you terrified of? Cool, we're going to follow that because that's going to create money. And then the regulation will come. On the recruitment side, look, I'm scared for kids getting into the game, that they're going to have challenges. And, I don't know how many entry-level folks are listening to this podcast. I know it's typically founders, but I would say if you are at the entry level and you're listening, go and find like a highly reputable founder that you can attack. You need to hitch your horse to a wagon versus a big corporate, right? Like I don't see the big corporates helping. Go and find the right wagon, great founder, great
industry.
Story.
I think most industries, not just recruitment, will become, there'll be just micro businesses everywhere. There'll be lots of mini businesses making lots of money. And so there might not be those jobs for life in big organizations, but there'll be shitloads of little organizations trading. Like I think it'll have to go that way. Especially in recruitment. Like even now, the amount of businesses like you they're everywhere. They're popping up constantly in size and maturity and age. Like, good billers spinning out doing their own thing.
Never been easier, right? Never been easier.
But are they? That's the thing, though. Are those businesses hiring juniors? Probably not in the first.
Don't see it. Yeah,
they don't have the bandwidth to train them. So there is a challenge there. Are the big players the only ones hiring juniors? And if so, are they going to keep doing it? We're going to have to wait and see over the next few years. But I think it's exciting. I think you could sit here and fucking moan about everything that could go wrong, or you can worry about what's in your control.
That is like the story of life, right? Like it is, you're dealt a hand, and we can, you can either sit. It's funny, we talked about this last time. I had to delete Instagram. Like I know you did. So I went through a phase earlier this year, and it's like, but for whatever, I clicked something, and it was just like, what AI is going to do, and the Great Depression, and I'd fucking log on every morning, and I was like, wow, why am I in such a bad mood?
Yeah.
And Reddit was the same, right? It was Instagram and Reddit, and I was like, wow, we're all fucked. And it's like, no, we're not. Yeah. I had to get rid of it because it was just like really deteriorating my mental health. And that's also like another thing is like, that's like what you ingest is really how you wake up in the morning, especially because the first thing most people do is check their phone.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I had to get rid because it was just it was really eating up at me. And like, the truth is everything is an opportunity, even bad things. There's opportunity in chaos, and unfortunately things like war, like there was just opportunity in so many different things. And again, I think you have to keep your, what feels right to you. But I think with AI, like if you want to just sit and read like, well, fuck, fine, but like do something about it, because not everyone will be, and there will be opportunity. There will be some chances to make money and fun to figure out as well.
When I got rid of social media in about April, May, my life's been infinitely better. Like Facebook, Instagram, gone. No news outlets, all gone. Like I'll actively use LinkedIn, and I get enough information from LinkedIn that I'm in, and I'll get enough information from the people around me that's important. But I don't I don't think we're made to take on that many people's opinions. And like you say, LinkedIn is enough for me. There's enough opinions that I see every day. But I like the fact that they're more professionally focused opinions, and of course there's personal stuff in there, but across the board, it's business, it's growth, it's the mindset I've got. And there's still, if I really wanted to learn something about being a parent or something, I'll go and find it. Whereas
that's it,
right? Day being hit with, and you got to remember, everyone on Instagram and Facebook and all these places,
best version of yourselves,
they're all promoting a message. They're trying to get some out of you. Like they're not just doing it for the sake of it. So.
Yeah, and look, if I really want to see someone's kids, just hey, send me a picture of your kids at Christmas, or send me a Christmas card, right? Like, and I buy into it. I'm like, oh, like people are not going to see pictures of my kid. No, like if they want to fucking see it, just send me a text. Like it's not that hard, right? We've got so many communication devices. But I was like, oh, my great auntie who I haven't seen in 19 years wants pictures of Eloise. Like, she's never going to meet her. So what does it matter? Like, it's not that important. So I did battle that, but yeah, it is a mind wrecker, and you can go down once it gets you as well. Like, I think there's this, like, you're probably back in free thinking, but and I get this sounds very like white pin out, but like once the algorithm has you, like it is, fuck me, it's sad. Like I watch it happening to my friends back home or whatever, and I'm like,
pure echo chamber, pure. Yeah. The amount of people who say to me, "The UK's fuck, mate," and I'm just like, suddenly I'm like, what's that? Yeah, but what? I live in a lovely area.
Yeah.
I wake up, I've got freedom, I've got nice people on my doorstep. Again, I'm lucky, I live in a good place.
Sure.
And not everyone lives where I live. But genuinely, if you go and walk down your high street, you can judge how people look and the weather and all these things. But genuinely, most people are decent people. Yeah. People are just trying to get on with their life. You've still got community and camaraderie if you look for it. Like, it just really isn't as bad as people make out. And it's funny because, as well, obviously, my business partner is Punjabi. My wife's Jamaican or half Jamaican. The immigration thing in the UK and the US is huge right now. And then there's videos, like I watched the videos, like everyone's like, the whole like reform argument is like the country's fucked, it's on its knees, crime, protect our kids. Crime in the UK is the lowest it's been in 35 years.
Yeah. But they don't get that stat, do they? They don't get
my dad even said
their feet.
My dad even said something about immigration. I said, Dad, just check out this. Sent in the video. Goes, why have I not seen that? Because they don't want you to see that. Because it's fucking algorithm.
It doesn't sell anything.
Yeah, it doesn't sell. Telling you that things are okay, it sells fuck all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I'm about to have some friend, like conversation with friends back home, and like send me like an Andrew Tate thing, and I'm like, whoa, like I was like, wrong chat, mate. Like that's, and I had to have a pretty, and again, not everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but like there's things where I'm just like, I also am not naive to the fact that like you start with little bits and it just keeps getting pushed down. Like, I've got a cousin who's 25, like single young guy getting pushed these stuff, and I'm like, dude, like just read your own narrative, like read non-biased news, because once it gets you, like it makes me sad. And I think like I think like we're so wired to just combat someone or say, oh, they're a fucking idiot, and it's like, no, like understand the greater picture, which is like we're all like, again, I sound very much like we're all programmed to think whatever like we started, and it's just like, again, your dad, like, why haven't I seen this? Just it's echo chambers, and the more you go down, like the harder it is to get away from your phone and talk to people about it.
Yeah.
And then it's just become so far that you won't talk to anyone with a different opinion, and it's
tough. Yeah, it's tough.
It's sad. But and I still love the UK. Yeah, I'm a company after my hometown.
Mate, I mean, I bought a place in the Middle East, and I'm gonna rent it out. You know, I've thought about living there, but like, I'm absolutely buzzing with the fact that I live close to my family. I can right in the middle of the world. I can travel anywhere. There's loads of stuff that's better in other countries, of course. But I'm sweet, and I'm happy. And again, it's because I'm focusing on protecting my peace daily and my people around me and the business, family. Like, I just focus on what I can control and the people I care about, and everything else. I wanna listen to it, and I'm empathetic, but I try and protect what's in there.
Yeah, it's happy. Like, it sounds, this is cliche, and obviously we can talk from places having quite nice lives, but like, happiness is a choice, right? And I like, honestly, some of my happiest memories, like, I love my life. Like, I always say that, I use that language, I love my life. Some of my happiest memories when I didn't have money, I had struggles, but like the situations were great and fun and whatever. And so it's not just about material stuff, but like, if you can control what you're reading, eating, fucking drinking, if sometimes as well. I know it's a big one for you. Like, I rarely drink anymore. Like, only when I travel, I think is my deal. But yeah, it's you can control a lot of this, and I genuinely want. I know I give off the grizzly theme. I'm actually a really happy guy. I love my life. I love the people around me, but I also want it for other people. Like, I do want everyone to have happiness and the opportunities that, like, I've been given a great opportunity in what is a interesting job. Like, people don't love recruitment maybe and whatever, but like, I can't believe what opportunities have been given to me. So I'm super grateful for it. And I think like anyone who comes through and bitches about it or whatever, like, don't realize how good life can be if a job where I used to have to make 100 phone calls a day, someone who didn't know who the fuck I was or what company I was calling from. What a life.
We all go back to those days. Well, mate, look, I want to say well done and thank you for giving us another slot on, another open dialogue. You are definitely someone that people are watching, and it's nice to get such a candid, open view. Like, it's not all perfect. You still, there's still issues and there's still things you struggle with, but you're on the right track. And I hope 2026 brings what you wanted to bring, and keep focusing on the family first. I think that I just completely agree with that. Whatever happens, that's the most important thing. If anyone does want to reach out, LinkedIn, you'll always give one. Yeah.
Always.
Legend. And we'll get you back, I reckon, in a couple
2.5 years. Yeah.
2.5 years. And maybe we're just AI bots talking to each other.
That's it.
All right, brother. Thanks so much.
See you, Sean.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the RAG Podcast. If you haven't already, please do subscribe wherever you listen to this show. As the more subscribers we get, the more people will listen and the more recruitment owners we can help. As a recruitment founder, you must know that things are changing. AI is everywhere. Cold outreach is getting harder, and job boards, well, they're not what they used to be. But personally, despite the negativity, I believe the future is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime in recruitment, because for the first time ever, a founder with 5 recruiters with a clear niche and the right systems can build the kind of influence, reach, and profitability that used to take 500 recruiters and a global office network. The agencies that are winning right now aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are the most visible, the most trusted, and the ones building inbound demand. At Hoxo, we're working with clients who are running multiple 6 and 7 figures in net profit, outperforming the negative noise and headlines. So, to explain what these guys are doing, I've created a brand new free masterclass video for RAG listeners. In this video, it's less than 10 minutes long. I'm going to show you what these businesses are doing differently from the rest. So the link's in the description. Fill in the form, watch the video, and see exactly how this system that these clients are using could work for your agency. Good luck.